Hello and welcome to Unlock Your Blocks with Elyssa. I'm Elyssa Smith. I'm a trauma informed life strategist and a nervous system regulation and mindset expert. We are going to be talking today all about this little part of you that I want to introduce you to that is at work behind some of your self sabotage. You may not recognize her and you might be a little chagrined to find out that this is happening. So I'm excited to walk through this. If you were a good girl, if you were the girl that learned to be nice to everyone, to take care of everybody else before yourself. And if you're kind of a little burned out by that as an adult, let me tell you, as the responsible one in the family, the glue, the helper, there are some specific things, some specific ways that you came out of your childhood that are going to cause you to have some issues as an adult, burnout, all kinds of self sabotage, procrastination, perfectionism, people pleasing, and negative self talk is a big one of these. So, let me walk you through exactly how to know if this little hidden part of you that I'm going to introduce you to is at work in your life and how you can stop her from messing things up for you. Okay. So, first of all, I want you to just think about what was your childhood like? What was your role in the family? Were you the good girl? Were you maybe the stereotypical? I was the stereotypical oldest child who ends up kind of being the hero. I was like, mom needs help. I'm going to be the helper. And, oh, there's a baby in the family now that's younger than me. So I'll be the big girl. I'll be the big sis and I'll help. And that there were all kinds of issues with that because I was, not very nice to my little sister that came into the world. I love you, Erin. But also, I was just losing my identity in becoming what I thought the family wanted me to be, which was this helper, this high achiever, this person that was performance based. And I lived for that affirmation, that confirmation that I had value. When I started healing from all of this, and when I started learning about the survival brain and the neuroscience behind our limiting beliefs, one of the things I learned about is the family mobile. Now, if you picture a little baby in a crib, and it's that sort of toy that hangs over the crib that turns around, maybe you crank it and it sings a little song as the little, the toy zebra, the little stuffed zebra and the elephant, they're all just kind of going around in a circle to keep the baby entertained as it's laying on its back, right? Those mobiles have to be perfectly balanced because if you've ever seen one in real life and you kind of pull on it while it's attached, it kind of goes wonky. The rest of the pieces get jerked all around. A family mobile, this is the best way I've ever seen to actually explain how we get wired this way as the good girl, the glue, the helper, because our role in the family mobile is that. So we are that piece of the family mobile. And when we learn that if we shift or if we move out of that role, that the whole family gets out of balance, then we learn that it's actually not in our best interest to stray from that role. So we become dependent upon our ability to fit in and make everyone else balanced. We are now the ones responsible for mom and dad's feelings, keeping them happy. We are now responsible for keeping the kids quiet or making sure that nothing we're doing is bothering the family. I have clients that come to me and they say, okay, I had a special needs sibling or I had a sibling that had health problems. And I just learned that I needed to have less needs. And so if you learned that for any reason, and I didn't have any major, big T trauma when I was little that I'm aware of yet, but I actually did have a bunch of little T traumas, and I had this role that I had to fulfill to keep the family balanced. So when you have that role as a little girl, and you are learning this is what it takes to keep dad happy, this is what it takes to keep mom, grandpa, uncle, teacher, choir instructor happy. And this is what it takes in order for me to get noticed more, or to get validated more. We start doing those things instead of doing the things that we really want or need. And that requires this level of abandonment of our true selves. Every time I choose to play this role and balance the family mobile over choosing to ask for what my needs really are and asking for those needs to be met, I am choosing to abandon myself. Not that I had a choice, right? You didn't have a choice when you needed to choose, let's hide whatever it was, dad's drinking from mom, or let's, even if it wasn't anything hugely traumatic like a substance abuse in the household, let's hide that I have these big scary anger feelings. Let's stuff that down because no one taught us how to process that, and it doesn't fit into the family expectations. So we're all stuffing parts of our true selves down then in order to keep this family mobile balanced. Now, if our survival brain, the right brain, is invested in keeping things happy and safe for us as much as possible, it's going to key in to what keeps everyone else happy. And in order to stay in that role and abandon ourselves over and over and over again in favor of keeping the family unit balanced, we will then develop thought patterns. The survival brain is very handy at this. It will start instilling thought patterns into you at a very young age that you just think are normal. You just think this is just how you think or how things actually are. You're not thinking about the idea that maybe this was put in you by your survival brain to survive. We're just assuming these are real facts. Our thoughts are not facts, but our survival brain doesn't know that. So it's just putting these little thought patterns inside of us that whole time that we're wiring to keep the family balanced and keep the mobile going around in its happy little circle without stepping out of line and without having too many needs and without being too big. Got to play smaller, got to have less demands on the family. So, in order to stay in that spot, we have to develop the thought patterns that accompany it. We have to stay in a place that says, okay, if I'm not allowed to have more needs, I must not have more needs. So, I'm not allowed to ask for more things. So, then we become adults who have trouble asking for help. We become adults who are grown women who are struggling to overcome the negative thought processes in their head when they're really not okay. So you start adulting at a very young age once those thought patterns start to be instilled in you that will help keep you in this role that your brain thinks is the safest role for you. It probably was the safest role. Okay, we have evidence. We have evidence that says things are better for me if I keep mom and dad happy. Things are better for me if I do things that are going to keep me in the status quo for the family unit as a child. And so we begin with these adulting behaviors and these adulting mindsets where it's like, okay, I'm going to carry the family unit. In no world is it appropriate for a child, no matter if she's the oldest or not, only child, whatever it is, in no world is it appropriate for her to be the one that balances the family. But it happens so often. And parents just assume, oh my gosh, it's because we're teaching her these things that are good values and, oh, she doesn't need our attention a lot. Thank God, because we don't have the attention to give. So she gets it reinforced from every angle. Your family of origin, unfortunately, will also stay invested in keeping you in this role as an adult. So I'm like imagining that you're in front of me and I'm imagining that I'm asking you to raise your hand. Do you have family members of origin? So parents, siblings, uncles, aunts, grandparents that will freak out if you stop fulfilling your normal role. I know for me, when I started to step back a little bit from being my parents' number one helper, even as an adult, it was really not comfortable for anyone. And I didn't know how to do it in a great way. I wasn't, it was like, use your kindness. It's hard. You do sometimes have to swing in a pendulum. You were ignoring yourself so much before that you swing to the other side and you start cutting everybody off or saying, absolutely not, I'm not doing these things anymore. So there's a gray area in there that is really helpful if we can start moving toward that. But our family of origin don't like it because if you take one of those little animals off of the mobile, the whole thing goes wonky. It goes sideways. It's not balanced anymore. And it doesn't mean that it should be. That's the thing, is that for family units, we are not supposed to depend on a child to keep us balanced. It is supposed to be the parents that keep the family unit balanced, that hold space for the children to grow and to have a childhood. So we then will choose relationships and situations and jobs and start businesses and hire employees that keep us in the same family role. We were overworked as kids. We kind of are burned out as adults from keeping everyone happy. And now here we are, we're just coping away with procrastination, people pleasing, imposter syndrome, negative self-talk, perfectionism, all of it comes together. And then there's this other part that I want to introduce you to. Introducing the inner rebel. Now, you may have developed some of this outwardly as a kid. Some kids who have too much pressure on them will develop the rebel on the outside. I never went through a rebellious phase. I know a lot of women who didn't because they were so busy trying to stay in line to keep the family together. But the inner rebel wants revenge, guys. She wants revenge. She says, I've been working way too hard. I don't get enough time for myself, and everybody else keeps coming in with their needs higher than mine. I'm all done with that. And so she will secretly work away on you, and one of the things that she will do is revenge bedtime procrastination. Okay. So that's when you keep yourself awake past the bedtime that you swore you would stick to. And you know that the next day your morning is going to be shot because you did this, but you don't even care. Okay. I don't care because I deserve a break and I haven't been alone all day. I need to be alone with my thoughts. I need to watch my show. I'm going to just keep myself up. I'm not going to go to sleep on time. Another thing that your inner rebel is responsible for is doom scrolling, where you're just mindlessly scrolling through social media. This is like a new way that we deal with anxiety and depression and all kinds of, having been adultified to way too young. We're just burned out and we need something mindless. Our brain craves something mindless, but it's not actually serving our purpose. Another thing that you might see happening is that you're just refusing to do the things you know you need to do. It's not even really procrastination. It's not like, oh, look, something shiny, and you're mindlessly doing other things instead of the thing you're supposed to. It's kind of like you see that thing that you're supposed to be doing. And because you're supposed to be doing it, and it's because it's an obligation, you're like, nope, I'm not doing that. So it's kind of like a screw you to the world moment. And we probably don't live in this all the time, but this inner rebel in you probably comes out when you're really overworked. She probably comes out when somebody is not appreciating you, when you are doing things for other people and there's no thanks. So she will come out and start demanding that your needs get met. But it backfires because it takes a toll on your health. It takes a toll on your relationships if you just start going around and telling people off, or if you are short with somebody because they're expecting way too much of you or they don't appreciate you. And also the other thing that happens with this inner rebel is that your goals get further and further away because she is sabotaging the hard work that it takes to get to your goals because she doesn't know that there's a beautiful aligned way that is not draining, that you could actually be going about those goals. And that requires acknowledging those overworked parts and saying, I get it. I understand. And I'm so sorry this has been so hard, but you're going to have everything you need because I'm in charge now. Nobody else is taking care of our needs now. I am. And I'm going to make sure you get your needs met. You have to uncover some of the deeper causes. Like, are there traumas in your history that caused you to take on this role? And you want to really do as many things as you can during this place. If you notice your inner rebel is showing her little head, you just want to do as many things as you can that are just for you. And this can include the 3S framework that I love to walk people through, getting that safety, which is to stop and take those 3 deep breaths as often as you can, doing the self-nurturing. Stop and nurture your 5 senses. Do something nice for yourself that hits all 5 of your senses. And then that safe support, connecting with people that really care about you unconditionally makes your survival brain feel safe. And it'll help you release the need to have that inner rebel protect you from the overworking. In the long term, you can actually, as you uncover where this came from in your childhood, which is what I love to do with people, when you uncover exactly where it came from, you can actually change the neural pathways so that you don't even go through the inner rebel highway in your mind anymore, so that you can just directly go from, "Ooh, I'm stressed," to, I'm taking care of myself. So I hope this was helpful for you. And I would love to know, send me a message on Instagram at Elyssa C. Smith and let me know, do you notice that you have an inner rebel and what's she up to these days? I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you here again next time.